Why are they jumping, bro? Why are they getting like that? Why are they getting their heart pumped, like, bro?
Glacial Fissure, right onto Revenge, but he soaks it all enough. Fudge coming in for the left flank, and Evil Geniuses all five like a pack of hyenas turned right into Fudge. Then the burning down, and Forgiven flashing forward, and that is the Aphelios ult in the Moonlight Vigil.
Renton. Change. I don't want to speak.
I'm chasing.
Avi, okay? Yeah, look 80. Look 80. I got it. He's dead. We can. Can you end? I think we can. Go man. Bad randoms. Get him.
My bad. I misplayed defense this game.
Arctic Assault lands the Permafrost stun. Eminos trying to body block it with the body slam, but Unforgiven finds the damage. Flower jumps in, forcing the flash. Berserker with the power instinct. They're so low on the side of EG, and Cloud9 just find a way to take them all down.
Big man.
Okay. 45, just so you guys know.
Look, reactor. Hit that him. Okay, nice. Sejuani. I'm fine.
I'll play this week.
I'm gonna see now because Berserker.
Oh, wait, Berserker, he knows that Unforgiven still doesn't have flash from before. Mystic shot, Berserker doesn't have flash, but if he can get an arcade shift, there it is, blinds it true.
He's too good.
He's Crane, bro.
M&S is caught up. Jojo peeling over the wall, finds a massive shuffle onto two. Berserker and M&S are taken out of the fight. Fudge goes all out, but he cannot withstand EG. And they do everything they can to correctly close this game one out as Sven gets caught out, but Ayla goes down. He's still surviving. Sven might go down to one more auto attack, but he walks on out as they look for the turnaround. Jojo's the one that disappears. Berserker's on a tear. They rip Unforgiven to shreds. Shannon is gone, and Berserker might just pick himself up just before Revenge slices and dices him out. That one goes over to Blabber.
Go on. Don't push it, dude. Push. Hey, I want to hit this. Look. Coming out.
Azir.
Is it dead? What GG? Can we end? Yeah, we can. Go top. We practice.
They might just look to do it right here, right now. Revenge is gone. Ayla's gone. Cloud9 gonna start hitting onto the Nexus towers. There are multiple members low, but they will just push for the very end. 1 second on Jojo, 1 second on Unforgiven, but Cloud9, you don't need to be an evil geniuses to just be better. Cloud9 will advance. We're going to
Welcome to LCS Waiting Room, where we are joined by Sven today. Apparently him and Mark have beef. There's a pile of pillows
Yeah.
Between the two of you.
Yeah.
Separate sides of the bed here.
Troubles in paradise between Sven and I.
Thanks for joining us. Any words on yesterday's game overall?
I mean, I tweeted it out, but I played so bad, and we still won. So I was like, if I play well, there's no hope for LCS. They can't beat us then, if I can play that badly and still go 3-0.
I thought your rel game at the end was good.
I got caught a couple times, I think, in that game as well. And I was also, yeah, it was just bad. But I think I had some good plays in the third game. It's true, I had a lot of good team fights that game, towards the end especially. But yeah, I played a really bad series overall. The second game especially was really bad, and then game 3, some early game mistakes. I was tunneling too hard, trying to stop Jodapune. We had this thing where like we said, if Jodapune doesn't 1v9, they can't win. So I was like, just trying really hard to always be mid, always gank him, overcommit really hard, but I shouldn't be, you know, these kind of things. But I didn't actually have to do that because MS was playing really well that series, I think.
Yeah.
Besides the Jayce game.
Yeah.
The Jayce incident.
that one was unlucky, but the other two games that M&S were really good. I think he would have ended up being player of the series if he had just even a normal third game. It was just unfortunate.
His was really good.
Yeah.
I was really surprised by
That
how
Berserker
he played.
flash at the end there, and then you almost not ending the game. That would have been so troll. He played he played well.
Yeah, he had a good series too. Always does. He's a very consistent player.
Well, congratulations on not only making it to finals weekend, but also making it to Worlds again.
Again.
We'll take a quick look at the playoff bracket to see where we stand. This is the last game of the week between GG and NRG. Obviously, C9 3-0ing EG going to finals weekend and Worlds. You join, I believe, from LPL, JDG, BLG, and now LNG.
Yeah, some low teams.
Easy wins right there.
Yeah.
And then TL will face EG coming up next week as well, and Dignitas will face the loser of today's game between GG and NRG. And Golden Guardians, we have not seen them yet in these playoffs, but they did narrowly, it came down to a tiebreaker between your team and GG for kind of top spot, and they also won coaching staff of the split. So Jat had a chance to.
Can I help you, Sven? Why are you laughing at that?
Okay, I mean, I just really think, okay, first of all, I think it's deserved. It makes sense. It's just a really shitty award.
No, it's not.
It doesn't make any sense because the people that vote for this award don't actually know what these guys do.
I don't think anyone knows what anyone does.
Yeah, but like, you can vote for players.
I don't know if you have good comms. You could have terrible comms. I'm playing on my All-Pro Valid.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
at least you can watch me play, right?
I guess I can watch him draft.
You don't even know if it's like the player saying who to draft, right? So I have no idea who that. I don't know who he is. I don't know what he does for his team.
You're really hyping this up, Sven.
I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just saying that like sometimes the coaches of teams are actually just frauds, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Like some teams, even now, think their coaches are really bad. And maybe it's just like huhi's just the fucking mind controlling everyone, right? You don't know. So the award just doesn't make any sense because you don't know what the coaches are doing for the team. They could be like the best coaches ever or the worst.
It's true.
It's a narrative-based award.
So I'll say this.
Yes.
I actually agree. I never vote on the award. I always like just put NA. But at the same time, I think there's also the other argument where it's like this team did really well or like overperform expectations. So like it's a team award.
Narrative.
And Jat,
Yeah,
he did actually catch up with
I talked to them.
GG's coaches before today. So we'll throw that.
Welcome back. I'm here with Golden Guardians coaching staff of the split for 2023 summer. Congratulations, guys.
Thank you.
Here with Spooks and Chews. I do have to ask a little bit, though, about the meaning of this because you've been with Golden Guardians for so long, actually. This is the end of your 4th full year with the org. So what's that journey been like?
Yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians has like a very like up and down history. Honestly, I'm just really grateful, particularly to like Nick, who has kind of mentored us from the very start and then also given us this opportunity. Also grateful to like our playing group because I think we're really fortunate. Like we have a bunch of really smart and experienced guys who make the experience a lot easier. And I'm just grateful and, you know, really, really happy to be here. So
Yeah. And for Chews, what do you feel like clicked this year to, you know, bring the success?
Yeah, I think just what Sam said. Like, we've got a really talented bunch of guys, and they feed off each other really well. So Sam and I have just tried to, I guess, point them in the right direction and more mediate this kind of group because we have so much talent. So, yeah.
Easiest or hardest player to coach on the team?
I think Jay, like huhi is the easiest and hardest player to coach on this team. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. He gets both.
That makes sense. Congratulations again on the award, guys, and best of luck in the best of 5 today.
Cheers, thank you.
That does it from here.
Thank you, Jat, for catching up with those coaches. We see huhi, who they mentioned on screen, and who you also mentioned is possibly
the real coach,
the mastermind between Golden Guardians.
No idea, right?
Actually, one of these teams is going to be going to Worlds, and it'll actually be a first for both orgs.
Yeah.
It's important to note that NRG is not.
Wow, we are good.
Is not taking CLG's prior World.
Yeah, NRG wanted a clean slate, so they do not inherit CLG's history, which means of the teams in the LCS, which are the ones on these graph, GG and NRG are the 2 teams that haven't gone to Worlds ever. So they will be making organizational history, one of these teams, depending on the results today.
Really cool to have history made this weekend today. Sven was saying, wow, we're so good. You should put your money where your mouth is. Join one of the orgs that doesn't have many Worlds appearances and start boosting them up there.
You know what's funny? The one time Sven did make Worlds was when I joined. So
yeah. You entered it once, but then you got him a couple more times.
Yeah, I blame Niski for that one. That's fine.
Wow. So in looking at, I feel like to go slightly back to coaching staff the split, when this GG team started in spring and due to their spring performance, I feel like we definitely didn't expect them to perform not only as well as they did in playoffs last year and MSI, but also this split. They kind of stayed at the top, where I think a lot of people expected them to fall. By contrast, NRG, so like a lot of their players made All-Pro, right? It was pretty much like C9 and then G.
They just left it blank.
Once again, I actually did not know this graphic was going to look exactly like this. No All-Pros. The apostrophe.
So this is the interesting part of the story for me is that NRG consistently finishes top half of the regular season, 4th, 5th. They are always up there, and yet they have not gotten an All-Pro nod with these guys yet. Through summer split, spring split, and again this summer split, 3 splits in a row, I don't think that they got an All-Pro player.
Always right on the cuff.
I thought didn't Palafox
might have picked up
split?
1 third team All-Pro.
Because I voted him
Maybe.
second team last split.
I don't remember if he got it, though. Anyways, point is, they consistently do well, and they don't get much credit.
That is true.
Whereas GG, every single player was on there.
Who was the third team jungler? Pyosik?
Pyosik.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What was your ballot?
Yeah.
I don't know what my ballot was. We do it like, we ask each other. So Blabber did a ballot this year for our team, and he would ask like, Sven, who do you think is the best support players? I put mine in.
Yeah.
And he asked Berserker, best ADCs. You know, we go like roll by roll. So I'm not sure who the junglers are. I guess Blabber did his own voting for that. But I think Pyosik,
You think Contractz is better? You can say that if you think. Or somewhere else.
I think he played better this split.
Right.
Whether he is better or not is like debatable. I think Pyosik is a little bit underrated by people. They think he's really bad, but I don't think he is. Contractz is very important to his team though, while Pyosik is not.
Right.
So it's like, NRG depends on Contractz a lot to make plays, while teams like TL have a lot more laning phase prowess, I guess, in bot lane and top lane especially. So there's a lot more room to make plays.
Yeah.
It's hard to play jungle in a worse team. Well, NRG has a better record than TL, I think, right? But they aren't actually worse. It's just the laning phase is much stronger for TL when they're on their best game. So jungling is different in those kind of teams.
Yeah.
It's like the Boogie thing we talked about earlier. It's like Boogie has to do a lot of things to make his team win.
Yeah.
While a jungler like Blab or River have a lot more tools to work with because they have a good team. So.
Yeah. It is kind of interesting looking back at these GG players though, because I still think the assembly of these players, people think of this as kind of like a young team, I think, or like the perception is that they don't have a ton of accolades or whatever, but all of these players are incredibly experienced.
Well, I think the big thing too is that none of them some of them have had acclaim in the past, but coming into this Golden Guardian lineup, the fact that all of them made All-Pro, something you would not have predicted at the start of the year when you assembled it, because they had been journeymen who had bounced all over the entire world.
Yeah, the River, when he originally joined Golden Guardians 2 at the tail end of 2022, they just lost all their games as well, because that was before they'd brought Huhi in, that was before they had Gori. It took a long time for this to come together. Interestingly enough, like both River and Licorice were acquired in trades, like mid-season LCS trades, and it's all come together here.
Stixxay is really funny, like how he was coaching Golden Guardians Academy and then played because the guy Violet had a visa issue, and then suddenly he just now is second best AD carry in the LCS. It's a very strange.
Yeah, and then I know we've looked at the players. Golden Guardians, we already talked about how they made franchise history, but I think it is cool to look at kind of the timeline of their journey through the LCS.
Yeah, it's definitely not just the players who had their struggles and then have stepped up. Golden Guardians themselves as an org had a rough entry into the LCS. They wanted to make a splash. They signed a bunch of North American players, but they ended up getting multiple 10th place finishes, and they struggled for a while to find their footing. And then the problem for them was when they did find their footing, they couldn't hold on to those players. If you remember when they took down TSM, they started making a name with guys like Closer, like FBI, like Huhi in the support position, which he role swapped to. Everyone believed that this team had a future, and then they had some problems with budget, and they ended up having all their players heisted by 100 Thieves. So right when they hit this peak, they end up losing all of those players. They have to go back to that kind of developmental approach where they're trying to sign a lot of young North American talent. Unfortunately for them, they were not able to really hit on any diamonds in the rough, what they were trying to find with their kind of reduced budget. And so they had, again, returned back to that kind of 10th place history that they had. And people were wondering if this org was ever going to be able to turn it around. And that's when they kind of struck gold this offseason over into spring, where these guys, no one expected them to do as good as they did. They ended up winning much more than they thought, but it was still a dicey regular season. They finished 6th place. That's why this bullet point is not maybe as high as you think it should be for the fact that they made MSI, but it was a rough regular season. And you were worried that it was going to be a repeat of before, where you have this really nice showing one time, but you come back down to earth. That was not the case. They actually continued to smurf during the regular season. They tied Cloud9 for 1st place. They had to play a tiebreaker, ended up dropping that one. But if they can just win one best of 5s, as we already said, they can make their first Worlds appearance and kind of continue that upward trajectory.
Yeah, and you already mentioned it, but you know, they were on the same kind of initial GG roster core, and now having added FBI to NRG, Huhi and FBI are once again facing off against each other, and we're going to hear from FBI on facing against his former lane partner.
I just want to shit on Huhi, man. Like, this guy is so cocky, like, for no reason. Like why, dude? He's just following River around and get 3 kills, and he thinks he's good. So, I can't wait to verse Golden Guardians.
Yeah, 3, no.
That's the most I've ever heard
Yeah.
of FBI. It's because he's played with huhi for so many splits.
Yeah.
And wait, Sven just called this out. Huhi's played in the last 4 straight finals because he had the 3 with 100 Thieves, and then he also had the one with Golden Guardians.
Yeah.
He's a beast.
I lost to me on both teams.
You're better. You got to build up the other support.
Wait, there was the comms when you guys won the tiebreaker game against him in the regular season.
Yeah,
you get,
yeah.
oh yeah, there goes the best support in the league. Huhi has
I
to
will
be
say
there.
I was joking about it, but I think he deserves it. I think it's.
So on this point, this is a really fun
sorry for
game
breathing.
we've been thinking about. This is all pro. This is building a roster as well. Golden Guardians built the roster. The rules of this game is you have $15 to spend, and you can't spend it on players from the same team. The way we ranked it is $5 is first team all pro, second team, third team, what would be fourth team, and what would be fifth team based off of the votes that came through. So, Sven, I want to get your $15 roster.
All right. Let's see here. Just gotta see who we have on the board first.
You think spending $4 on a support is grief?
Yes.
Okay, so
Absolutely.
not spending $4.
I love myself, but I think also if I choose myself, I can't get like Blabber, Eminence, or Berserker, or even Fudge.
This is true. Yeah, this is the
like-
tricky part of him. Rich is high value because he's the only Dignitas player here. So
Yeah. I mean, I don't want
sit on
anyone. I don't want anyone from Dignitas anyways. Besides Rich, so it's fine.
You're gonna go Rich?
No, I'm saying I don't want anyone else from that
Okay.
team anyway, so it doesn't matter if there's more Dignitas players. But I think I'm gonna go with Berserker for my $5 guy.
Okay, this is I mean, we all
ADC role
watched
is a
the
little bit
series
overpowered
yesterday,
these days, so let's see
So
here.
that means no other C9 players.
Yes, I can't get Blabber now.
Do you have a red pen? You can X
I
out the ones
think-
you can't pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could.
You can do that,
Help
yeah.
him out by
Yeah.
eliminations.
I think that huhi is too expensive, even though he's really good. And Core J is, in my opinion, better than IgNar and Ayla, so I think we just go with Core J here.
Okay.
There's not too many other teams.
We get like Korean bonus here in bowling as well.
Yeah, true.
Not bad, not bad. So what I have, $7 left.
Who cares?
Yeah.
Now I can't get Summit though. I kind of
Yeah.
want Summit.
Summit. No summit.
Revenge, $1 is kind of like
That's like
good,
decent
good
value.
Good value,
Yeah.
I think, yeah. But
We were running through it earlier. It's actually impossible to make a valid team with Berserker and JoJo, so you just can't get
Yeah.
those two.
oh, it's literally impossible.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's just with the way the teams and the dollars work, there's no way.
Okay, I gotta get one $4 player.
Yeah. So are you going
Ooh,
Revenge?
River or Gori? I feel
I
like
feel like I go River for my jungler
Okay.
because.
So you're a pretty expensive team now. That's
Yeah.
that's
So
$12. So you
now
have
it's-
$3 left.
yeah, but you pick a 2 or a 1.
now my
here.
options are like.
Yeah, you got to pick between Rich Revenge, Palafox, and Insanity.
Yeah.
You got to find your.
I feel like
Your solo lanes, you're
Rich,
skimping on.
Rich Insanity or Palafox Revenge. It's gotta be Palafox Revenge for me.
Palafox Revenge.
I actually
Yeah.
kind of like this team.
I would.
This is a cool team.
It's not bad. You have the. It's kind of Golden Guardians-esque where you have like a core trio of the Korean speakers. This
Yeah.
even works under import rules technically because Core JJ is also.
Yeah.
Green cards, though.
Really quick. Let's make a desk team. Really
I
quick.
was considering like maybe getting like Contractz. I can get Summit instead. But I
True.
would have
$4 on a top laner is too much.
But I would have Koji J,
Emily,
so-
what was the team you threw together?
I mean, I still think you have to prio Berserker.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, what do you guys think? Because you're either prioring Berserker or JoJo.
I'm slamming Rich too.
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't care
Rich
about
is
this
good.
revenge
Rich is
slander.
good value.
No, I'm
He's
saying
got
Rich is
this
good.
anti-Dignitas slander. This just opens up the team.
I'm playing the rest of the Dignitas, not him.
Okay, so Emily, do you agree with this, or we need to go in another direction?
Rich is good, I think. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Mark can help with this too.
Okay, Mark.
I
I said
heavily
Rich.
prioed Berserker.
Yeah, I think for me, I said I actually picked Blabber and Sandy when I was doing mine, but since we already have Berserker,
Yeah.
I really
River.
like River for the Golden Guardians player.
Yeah.
I think in a lot of ways you can argue he's the
We're
most
just gonna make the
impactful.
same team, aren't we?
I mean, I also feel like River can just fit with so many different styles of
And
play.
then it's one of these two.
Yeah, because you're forced into it from here, which is the problem.
Yeah. And a support.
Well, then I'm gonna go.
I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
the problem
Sandy
is
core.
core is a steal at 3.
Okay, anyway, this graphic should be tweeted out. I'm curious what other people think. I think there is an Emily strategy where you have Blabber and build a team from there. It's just, weirdly enough, it's so hard to find a team like without this guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Gonna be AD carry.
I think
so.
it's overrated, no? Right, Sven?
Berserker? A
Yeah.
little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
he's
he's
getting
kind of
carried.
carried support.
I
agree.
taught him everything he knows.
I mean,
I think without me, he wouldn't be anything.
I remember you came up on the first split after you play with him, and it was your first play in support, and you were talking about how you had to teach him macro, how you had to teach him things that weren't just right-clicking minions.
Yeah.
You could play aggressive in lane.
Berserker did a lot of stupid things when he was playing at first. I remember when I was scrimming against him, he would like play, there was sort of the Udyr Hecarim meta, and he would buy like Gale Force, Fire Cannon, and Jinx against like Hecarim with 300 armor, and I'm like, why did you buy this? He tells me, opens the bot as I'm talking, and he shows me, Gumusi bought this in LCK. I'm like, yeah, but he's playing against like Jayce mid, Jungle Kindred, you know, and you're playing against Ornn and Hecarim with 300 armor. He's like, yeah, that makes sense, actually. You know, like this kind of thing. And I'm like, but then when we went to MSI, this, like, last MSI, Ruler started buying Kraken Slayer with Seal and then IE every game.
Yeah.
And then Berserker asked Gumayusi, why did you buy the Seal every game? And he said, because Ruler does it. So maybe that's just how it works in Korea. You know, you just do whatever the best guy does. And, you know.
Yeah.
That's just how they do it.
That's how the world works, man.
That's, I mean, why do the math? Just copy
why think about items when you can just copy the best player?
Two of the best players on Golden Guardians are River and Gori. I think, like, unironically, these two being able to link up together, I think River can be an incredibly creative jungler. And the two of them plus huhi roaming is kind of the engine of their entire game.
Yeah, and for me, so much of this is just looking at the games that opponent mid laners end up having against this team. And so much of it, I feel like, is oftentimes River and Gori just link up to make them have terrible games. Huhi obviously a big part of that because we know they do split language comms. So the Korean speakers all group up and gang up on the enemy mid laner, and then they try and win the game from there a lot of times.
Yeah, it's really impressive to see how they are able to spill over to the rest of the map too. And like, it's obvious that you play a lot through Gori, but they are actually unpredictable in how they get there. River is really creative with his pathing. Huhi does a lot of roam timers. Stixxay is on an island. Licorice has counter pick topside. Sometimes they're playing through him. So they have a lot of angles to make their game plan happen. It's not. Sometimes people talk about, oh, they have one playstyle and it's really telegraphed. I think the fact that River and Gori have so many ways to make it happen is what's hard to deal with.
Yeah, and I know, Sven, we were talking off camera, but you mentioned how, like, because of River's creative early game pathing, you kind of always have to have it in your head that he's going to be there, even if he's just, like, full clearing on Jarvan.
Once a jungler ganks you level 2 once, you will never forget about it. You will always have in mind he might gank level 2. So you should ward every game against River, while against our junglers, you never do that. River's also that kind of guy that he'll pick Jarvan and he'll full clear. Because everyone in the map is going to be afraid of him the whole game. It's just, he's just too good.
The accumulation of jungler mind games is actually really interesting.
Down payment. The more you do it, the more it rewards.
Like, just spend half the split ganking everyone at level 2 to then never gank again, but they waste all the
And every single time playing against Golden Guardians, we have a presentation about, you know, jungle pathing, tendencies and such. And River will always gank you if he sees your ward. If he sees it placed somewhere, he will flash over every wall, EQ as Jarvan. He will go to the ends of the earth to dodge the ward, no matter what, and he will gank you. So you're always like thinking about River.
Like, where am I going to put this ward?
You're really sweating playing against this guy. He played Jarvan against us, I think, in the regular season when we lost.
In the last week.
And the whole game, everyone's like, "Where's Jarvan? Where's Jarvan? Please, someone find him." Raining wards on the camps. No, where is he? He could be anywhere right now.
And he still got you guys. Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
Yeah, we had a terrible draft, but
I've heard you have a tiny little bit of record to set straight, because we talked about how NRG have a very good record against the top 4 teams versus the bottom 5. So obviously you guys, this is the discrepancy, which is hilarious.
Hate those guys.
Right? It's like you think about 3 and 7 versus the bottom 5 teams. 9 and 3 versus the top 4. But obviously you got to choose your opponents. And you chose away from the NRG TL side of the bracket.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really easy choice since both TL and NRG, who we lost 0-2 to, were on that side. But for me personally, if it had been something like TL EG side of the bracket, we would have chosen NRG as our opponent, or TSM if they could win, right? So for
me, more scared of TL.
Yeah, I was more scared of TL at the time. But then that week after we chose our opponent, we scrimmed both teams, and NRG actually played really well. So maybe I was wrong about that initially.
Do you think there's something to this, like NRG performs against top teams, or is it just noise? Because it's a lot of.
It's a little bit of noise, but that many stats is like, it becomes a real thing at some point. But yeah, I was personally just more afraid is a big word, but I thought TL was harder for us to beat than NRG at the time we chose opponent. Not sure about everyone else, but we just agreed because it was both of them, right?
The fact that you can ask if it's noise or a real thing, though, is I think why this matchup is so important for NRG and NRG fans.
Yeah.
Is because you have the ability to kind of discredit it right now, where it's like, oh, well, against the bottom teams, they struggled, and they haven't beaten these top teams in playoffs yet. It was only during the regular season. And so I think, they don't get all pro nods. They don't get the respect of the community despite these kinds of accomplishments against top teams in the regular season. So I think there is a lot on the line beyond the World's implications, beyond finals weekend's implications, which are all true for today. But personally, for the players on NRG, I think if they can win this, it's a huge, huge deal for their careers.
Yeah, I mean, I think they can then come forward and be like, I mean, Palafox was already last week being like, you should have voted for me for All Pro. Like, this is my audition. On that note, Mark, you've been very vocal about being like, this is the playoff run. I want to see NRG actually do something. Did you predict them today?
Well, we'll see. Of course I did. 3-1 NRG. Everyone else is sheep. Open your eyes.
I think this is an impossible series to predict. Because I literally feel like if you predict NRG, they will lose, and if you predict against them, they will win. So I cannot predict it correctly, was how I was feeling. Because, like, to the points we were talking about NRG not getting credit and Golden Guardians recently arriving as a top team, this conversation about NRG reminds me of the conversations we had about Golden Guardians in spring, where you don't believe that they're good because they just haven't proven it, but now they have a few months later. So I would not be shocked if we walked away from the series and we're like, oh yeah, NRG goes to Worlds. That makes sense. I think so. I think also Contractz is a psychopath jungler, and you were saying that you thought he probably deserved.
River is just more crazy.
They're both crazy, and that's the thing. Like Blabber can get crazy too, and Contractz actually goes better against he scales with the other person's craziness. So I actually think
scales.
Yeah, he matches it.
I will say River toned it down when they got better as a team.
True.
Because once your team's actually playing the game well and you're winning lanes, you don't have to do the cheese games anymore. You can still do them, of course. They're good to have, but he actually became more, I won't say normal, but less of a psychopath, less cheesy, just more stable. But still a really good jungler, of course.
Yeah. I feel like that always has to be in your head, though, in terms of, again, like you said, kind of, you still have to watch out for him. Well, we will see if they can do it. Golden Guardians themselves finished 13-5 this summer, their best record in history. How did they do it? We may not know for sure, but GG may have revealed the secret to their success. Let's take a look before the game.
There is no other tradition in the LCS quite like this one. It's unique. I remember the first time like it was yesterday. I felt such a rush. It was really special.
It's an unreal feeling. I don't think I'll ever get tired of it.
I'm so tired of it.
I'm getting chills just thinking about it.
It gives me something to look forward to.
I close my eyes every time just to make sure I cherish the moment and take it all in.
Honestly, it's just so hard to describe. It's a whole experience.
Yeah, I don't really know why the players like it so much, but if it helps, then whatever.
Hey Nick, you busy?
No.
I'm about to leave. Can I do the thing?
Yeah,
I think.
Go ahead.
No other team is doing what we're doing. Innovation. That's my bald eagle.
Ah, you love to see it. The Golden Guardians and their traditions bringing them to new heights here in the LCS in 2023. Welcome, everybody. I'm Captainflowers, joined by Azael for today's series. Golden Guardians going up against NRG. This one, just like what we got to see yesterday, is going to lock a spot in New Jersey and a spot at Worlds. Absolutely huge for either one of these squads. I'm excited to see them go head-to-head.
Yeah, it's going to be a really exciting one. The expectations for Golden Guardians absolutely are rising. They had their best regular season split ever. If they win here, they're going to Worlds. That would be massive for them. I have never been able to actually go to Worlds as an LCS representative, so that would be really, really big. And NRG on the other side, I think they make this such an interesting series because they're so hard to predict, right? Yeah. It's really hard to pin down how good this team is because they can come out, they can blast one of the top teams in the league, and then the very next week, go 0-2 against the worst teams in the league, right? You just don't know what you're going to get against this team. They really seem to play to the level of their opponents. So you want to believe that they can really rise to the occasion here and challenge Golden Guardians.
I mean, the way that I've been looking at it is NRG are a level scaling enemy in a video game. If LCS is a game, they're the level scaling opponent. If you're coming in at level 1, hey, they might be level 1. Might be easy to outplay them. If you're level 99, they're farmed and they're ready to go. So NRG, let's see what kind of a game they bring today up against the Golden Guardians. We've got the Ivern, the Poppy, the Tristana banned out by GG. NRG taking the Vi, the LeBlanc, and the Jax off the table. Jayce locked in first for Golden Guardians.
Ooh, interesting. Very likely going to be going to Gori. He has been playing quite a bit of the Jayce, looking good on it as well when he does bring it out. The Jax has just become the Licorice staple, right? He has been playing so much Jax, way more than any other pick. You know, it's 8 picks for him this split compared to 4, which is his next most played on K'Sante, and then it drops up to 2 and then 1. So he is pretty much only playing Jax. You know, really does believe in his own skills, feels that he can outplay his opponents, and that is really kind of the LCK LPL style, where there's a tremendous amount of Jax in those leagues. They believe that you can get it done in those skill-based matchups and then just kind of outscale and take over. Yeah. So that is going to be taken away. Interested to see where Dhokla will go. It is Kai'Sa, it is Maokai. So Rel has fallen through thus far. Rel and Khan are up and available. So both those could be pretty high priority picks here still.
Kai'Sa and Maokai can create quite a few problems, though, especially if you get ahead. The power of the Void Seeker spam, plus those saplings always being waiting in the brushes, can give you a lot of control, especially over neutral territory as it gets contested back and forth. Golden Guardians, second pick of the draft. Jumping around in a couple of different exciting options, but we're going to go with Sejuani instead.
Yep, Sejuani going to be getting locked in here. The Nefiri hover, can't even pick it if you wanted to. Not allowed. Rumble makes a lot of sense, though. Rumble, pretty good pairing with a Sejuani on the top side. You already have physical damage from your mid laner with Gori, and now you have a lane bully there for Licorice. She has really been excelling on carries, so it's a tough answer, honestly, for Dhokla. You know, talking to a lot of pros, they don't really feel that there is a good pick into Rumble. And if people do think there's a good one, then you'll talk to the next guy and they don't agree. They think that loses too. So it is going to be, I think, a pretty tough matchup regardless of what he goes. So he just goes towards that K'Sante. Pretty consistent pick up on that top side. You are going to be on the back foot against this Rumble, absolutely. Yeah. But you can maintain a decent deficit. Just try to stay stable. Make sure you're not giving up any deaths, not giving up turret plates, and try to kind of just make your value known in the 5v5.
Exactly. You play for later, go for one of the big ultis that might be able to really change a fight. We've seen some pretty massive engages from K'Sante in larger team fights as well throughout the split. So let's see what things are going to look like in the second half of the draft, because both teams are still potentially needing to look at marksman. The Kai'Sa can, of course, go mid on the side of RNG, or it could go into the bottom lane. It's Xayah banned out by NRG. It's Golden Guardians taking that Rel off the table. You brought up the priority on it falling through. Well, it fell through only enough to get banned.
Yep, absolutely. So it is going to get banned out in that second stage. And you said it, yeah, you do still have to consider the fact that this could be a Palafox Kai'Sa. On this patch, we've been seeing, I want to say, almost only in the bot lane. It feels like in last patch, we're seeing a lot more of it mid lane. So I'm kind of expecting that to go to FBI, but there is still the chance that that could flex. There is still the chance that this Maokai could also go down towards IgNar. So there are some options there to move things around. But for sure, Golden Guardians need an ADC for Stixxay. And it has been the defensive options that are being banned out here by NRG. So they banned out the Ezreal. We saw FBI playing a lot of that in its last series. And it is going to be the Xayah taken away as well. So they're trying to ban away a lot of these safety picks, which to me does kind of tell you that they're looking to dive pretty heavily. But it's just going to be a snap lock-in here of Zeri Nautilus as the bot lane for Stixxay and huhi. So going to be going towards that hyper carry style. Some pretty powerful 5v5 here on the Golden Guardians side. And now it is just last pick here for IgNar. Is it going to be a jungle? Is it going to be a support? I'm expecting it will be a support answer. Yeah. The Blitzcrank would be kind of that lane counter, but it is really high risk, high reward. Ooh. Okay, so this, I think this is Trundle jungle. So I think it is actually just going to be Maokai support. So they're going to move Maokai to support. They're going to move Trundle into the jungle here. It's been seeing a bit of a comeback that I've been seeing in solo queue. There's a lot of these tank picks, especially tank junglers, that are quite popular these days, you know, between Maokai, Sejuani, etc. It can be really strong against Sejuani. People used to pick this all the time. And the kind of tech that Sejuani's would do is they'd actually stop going Aftershock. They'd go towards Phase Rush.
Exactly.
Because that allows you to kind of escape from these situations, get away from the pillar. And also you don't want to proc that Aftershock and then have the Trundle ult you and go into those massively stolen resistances, because the Sejuani passive can get stolen resistances, Aftershock can, and you can actually go all the way to almost like negative resistances where you're just getting shredded.
Yeah, if they're both active at the exact same time, and that's when Trundle hits the perfect timer on the subjugate, you do see those values where it's like, all right, Sejuani's now the most vulnerable member of the team,
now
unfortunately.
Ayumi.
Yeah, so in those situations, I much more like something like the Phase Rush. I remember back when Trundle versus Sejuani was just every game in LCS. Also, sometimes you do see things like Fleet Footwork or something. Just anything not Aftershock to prevent those truly dire situations where you just melt on the front line. But all right, let's get cooking. Golden Guardians versus NRG. Game number 1. Spot at Worlds, spot at the finals in New Jersey. Both on the line for whoever wins this series. Of course, even if you lose it, you're still going to have another chance. But why would you want a second chance when you can just take the first one? Let's do it. All right, let's see how they want to open this one up, because it doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot going on here at level 1. You can see a small grouping of Golden Guardians at the entrance to their own jungle, but since it looks like we're not going to be getting any PvP too soon here, let's go ahead and toss things down to Emily, standing by with an interview with Coach ThinkCard.
Hello, thank you for taking the time. ThinkCard, just generally in prepping for Golden Guardians, is this kind of what you expected from them in draft? The most interesting thing to me is that Rumble was left open by you guys.
Yeah, so Rumble's obviously a strong pick. They usually go for just really strong mid jungles together, and we're expecting them to put pressure around mid with like huhi roaming and stuff like that. But we're pretty happy with our answer into it, so we'll just see how the comps kind of stick up against each other. Let's see which team shows up.
Yeah, and then the other thing I obviously have to point out is the flexing Maokai into the support position, and then taking out the Trundle jungle for Contractz. Is this something you prepared specifically for GG, or just something the flexibility of your players allows you to do?
Yeah, that's a strong pick. It's been popping up in other regions, the flex, and getting AD jungle allows Kai'Sa to be able to build more into AP. So it makes sense. It's a pretty good matchup into Nautilus, and we still get like the CC from the ultimate in team fight. So it's still very strong.
Nice. Well, we'll see how this works out. I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you want to watch the game. We'll toss it back to the casters.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting to see how it does play out. IgNar is playing Aftershock, and he is on the Relic Shield, so it's going to be more that tank style, likely just going in towards Even Shroud. It is not going to be, Sapling Max, kind of that old school style that we saw a while ago with First Strike and whatnot, as Gori's going to get a really nice trade through mid. And it's also interesting, he's saying it allows the Kai'Sa to go more towards AP when you do have that Trundle in there. Of course, Trundle's not going to be doing a tremendous amount of physical damage to the front line, but you do have the ultimate, which is going to make them a lot squishier, and that can make a pretty big difference here in helping the Azir and the Kai'Sa just fight front to back in some of these situations.
Speaking of front to back, both of these marksmen do have a lot of scaling potential in terms of the damage. Obviously, Kai'Sa, not so much of a traditional marksman anymore with the way the champion is played these days, but I still wake up in a cold sweat sometimes remembering Zeri's position in the meta not that long ago as huhi having a flash over the wall here to get away from NRG. They brought their jungler down here nice and early. Contractz forcing a summoner spell, but it's the Golden Guardians who are going to look for something on Dhokla potentially underneath the tier 1. Flash already forced out. They followed up with the Arctic Assault. Easy first blood for Licorice. River flashes to make sure he doesn't trade one back.
That was perfectly done. Golden Guardians just waited for so long. Gori should be able to get out of here with the phase rush. Yep. Nice to the skies there in hammer form. Just jumps onto Contractz and does get away. But notice how they forced so many of the cooldowns there from Dhokla before they actually picked up tower aggro, right? Yeah. They made him dash. They made him flash. He's trying to outplay in this situation, but he's only level 2. So he didn't have the W, I believe. He was just on Q and E. And they just waited until a lot of those spells were already on cooldown. Then they set it up. They're able to get the overheat at the perfect timing, get that first blood. And mind you, this is not even an Ignite Rumble. It is just TP Rumble here, playing with the Comet. So Licorice doesn't even have to use his TP, gets first blood, walks back the lane. You maybe lose a couple minions on the push, but the wave is stacked here for you. You can farm that up. And he's just in an incredible spot because now one more bad trade here for Dhokla, one more gank that pushes him out of lane, and you are going to fully lose control of this top lane matchup.
Blasting Wand fully purchased too with that first recall. Always going to feel nice to get the massive
Versus
AP
a
infusion.
refillable only.
Yeah, it's Doran's Shield refillable 2 cookies versus a Blasting Wand there on the first back. Some very nice lane state for Licorice thanks to the early pressure here in the top side from River on the Sejuani. We look back in mid, Palafox, again, taking a bit of a beating from Gori, but it's important to remember Palafox still has his TP.
Exactly.
He's fine trading however he needs to with Gori here. Just tax as many resources as you can from the Golden Guardians mid laner, then once you TP back with full, you got the edge.
Yep, exactly. If you TP back second, it generally is in your favor because of that reason. Contractz looking down towards bot, but River showing up here on mid. Palafox is pretty weak, but should be able to walk it out no problem and does have that TP to get back. Question is just, can they find an angle on bot side? It's now Dhokla's in a position where I have to actually check the minion wave. Let's see. The wave is actually frozen, so now it's kind of just game over. Now you don't get to play anymore, unfortunately for Dhokla.
The top lane experience.
Yeah, it's rough. I mean, this wave is going to stack, and Licorice, if he holds it off the turret, can deny a full wave and just hold it right here. So now the experience differential is going to become massive. Dhokla is level 4. Let's see, how close to 5 is he? He's about 80%, I would say, through level 4. But Licorice is about halfway through 5, and it's going to increase that experience lead. So off of these plays, it's going to be Licorice probably hitting 6 around, you know, when Dhokla's still like almost a full level away, or at the very least a half level away from that. So he's going to have a massive advantage. And yeah, still the only real buy. Like, he starts with D-Shield, so his only real buy is the Null Magic Mantle and a refillable. Like, that's all he's gotten so far. And Licorice already has more combat power, plus has an additional 700 gold in pocket. Like, it is really rough from the spot. It's a great early dive and great manipulation of that wave to trim it just enough. And it's also the reason why, notice how Licorice is playing past the wave here? Yeah. Because if you just stand on your melees and just use your Q to kind of harass him as he comes up, you're actually going to slow push that wave because you're going to be having your Flame Spitter hitting the enemy minions. So that is why he is playing so far past the wave to really delay when that wave will push out towards Dhokla. And but it will eventually do so.
Properly managing that Flame Spitter and the way that it interacts with the minions and making sure that you're getting your last hits and everything. Really one of those important skill sets on Rumble as Licorice wanted the kill there, even committed the flash for it, but he was overheated, did not have the damage to finish the job.
Yeah, miscalculated there for sure. Does have a massive experience advantage though. And Dhokla is going to actually be forced back to base. So at the end of the day, it's not that bad for Licorice. I definitely don't think he needed to flash in that situation, but huhi's going to find a hook.
Huhi with the dredge line. Palafox under pressure. IgNar wants to protect him. River's ready to swoop in, but there's no Sejuani ulti ready yet, so it's not like they've got the lockdown to finish either one of these kills. NRG's going to escape that one. Palafox still has his flash. Didn't even have to use the summoner spell there. So honestly, NRG not too sad about that one.
Yeah, not at all. But Dhokla definitely really sad about everything happening in top lane. He had to base and it wasn't a cannon wave. So he loses about 4 or 5 minions there. And the wave is now pushing out away from him. So it's 47 CS to 23. There's going to be more minions to collect for Licorice as he gets back. And he just got a full Giant's Belt. So good luck actually bursting him down. He's going to be going what is kind of becoming a bit of the new meta, this demonic embrace build. Where people are just rushing that for a bit of tankiness on the Rumble. Makes it really hard to look for kind of those all-in plays or to try to burst him down on a gank. Yeah, it is pretty tanky. So really, really tough situation for NRG up in that top side. And they're going to be depending on mid lane, on bot lane to be able to kind of make things happen to try to account for that.
And the top lane's really the only spot where there is much of a difference at all in this game. If we look at the farm, if we look at the lane state everywhere else, it's pretty much neck and neck. Like, nobody's really pulling ahead bottom. Mid's having trades back and forth. We've seen a little bit of roams coming out from both sides here as Palafox flashing away. It's hit by the second part of that flail there from River, but still got 200 HP left, so he will not drop. But Golden Guardians trying to keep the pressure on here in mid.
Yeah, that was really close. And you might be wondering, you know, why did River flash in there, you know, for 1 auto and then the E? It's because Palafox still had his ulti. So if you flash in there to try to finish him, you're likely to get scooped in the turret, and things could go potentially really bad off the back of that. But some good aggressive trades. They have full control up on top side. The Equalizer's just about back off cooldown, so this should absolutely be their Rift Herald. And they can use that to really snowball up through that top side, just continue this lead for Licorice. It has been kind of all about Licorice and these counter picks. You know, when you think back to playoffs last split, and so far they're starting off on that same foot, you know, having the confidence in him to make things happen.
And Contractz wanted to walk up there and see if there was anything he could do. Obviously, Trundle versus Sejuani, you're always confident in that matchup, but it's just the state of both of the solo lanes. Yeah. Dhokla has been completely set behind, so far back compared to his lane opponent. Palafox just had the recall like we were talking about, so not a whole lot for Contractz to do. there about that Rift Herald take from the Golden Guardians. Up 1,500 gold now. They've got the one neutral objective so far in the game. Yeah, just now level 7 for Dhokla against an already level 8 Rumble.
And he's 8.5. He's a full level and a half down. Like, that is ridiculous. That is a massive experience disadvantage. And if they can kill him one more time, it's going to get even worse here because they have that Herald, so they could potentially even take down that tower. They're moving all the way up towards topside, so 4 members top. Dhokla is getting that top lane experience.
Arctic Assault comes in. Dhokla goes all out, trying to bring River back underneath the turret. The turret shot just kills him. Big Dokes just stopped that plan before it started.
Dhokla with the outplay on the top side. Nicely done, absorbing all this pressure. Definitely a little bit too quick on the trigger pull. There was River though, and I think River, wasn't really taking into consideration the fact that he has bombies. So when you're under tower, even if you don't hit him, bombies is gonna pull aggro from that tower.
Ooh.
But Dhokla stays around, and they do get him at the end of the day.
Got him on that one. The follow-up there from Stixxay and huhi was enough to get the job done just a little bit late. Meanwhile, Contractz, recognizing that the enemy jungler was trying to make the play in the top side, means he can grab that first Drake of the game for NRG down here on the other side of the map. Licorice uses his teleport to make sure that they don't end up losing a bunch of minions and plates excessively. He'll clear the wave with the equalizer. As River goes back to farming his own jungle, you can see that Contractz and IgNar were thinking about looking for a little bit more there, but all they're going to do is get the control ward down in the brush. That'll immediately be cleared out by Licorice, and doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot more down here in bottom lane now.
I mean, Licorice doesn't really want to fight because he actually had to TP down towards bot to cover. He didn't actually go back to base yet, so he has 1,400 gold in pocket still. So, definitely did not want to look to fight. That's why he goes down towards bot. He just uses the equalizer on the wave, clears that out, buys time for them to farm some plates up on top side. So they took 3 plates off the top lane turret. There's 1 or 2 more autos until that last plate does fall. So if they want, they can drop Herald there, but they're sending Zeri back out towards top again, so Licorice will move down towards bot, and they'll continue trying to farm these plates up on top side and utilize that power. Zeri now already out to early tier 2 boots plus the Shiv, so on a really strong spike here also.
Yeah, the Shiv just got completed pretty much the exact same time for both the AD carries, but it is that Berserker's Greave difference that's showing all the extra gold in Stixxay's pocket because of not only the kill that he got up here in the top side, but the plates that he was able to mine off of the turret too.
I mean, they were basically farming completely even in bot lane. He's up 1k now, just straight up up 1k, because he cashed out the call, so he had the greedier start with that. That's part of it. And then farmed a lot of plates, and now gets local first tower gold there as they're going to make a TP play into Licorice. We'll see if he should just be able to walk this out.
Yeah, he just walks to the left, the direction his opponent is not. Palafox swoops in. Licorice's flash doesn't get him where he needs to go. And now FBI is going to burn, but he ain't going to burn all the way. He'll take the kill on Licorice. NRG at least find themselves something with a pick on the enemy top lane.
Yeah, nicely done. They get that pick onto Licorice. I thought he was just going to be able to walk it out, but Palafox arrives. The flash does not get him to safety, gets scooped back in. And the Maokai all had a pretty good angle there. So despite the fact that Demonic Embrace, was in pocket, does get burst down, but at the end of the day, they're gonna get zoned off some of these plates. So more plates going the way of Golden Guardians here, who are 3k up at 12 minutes, have done such a good job of pushing the pace of this game, utilizing the power through top lane. Really smart lane swap on the timing that they did it to get the Zeri accelerated as well. So Golden Guardians have just been playing kind of a beautiful macro game.
Stixxay's burst there. Nothing to trifle with for FBI. It's going to be the first plate taken mid. You can see NRG have claimed none of their own there. NRG have claimed only a single plate the entire game.
7.
All 5 are done. Yeah, all 5 in top, 1 in mid. Now in bottom, huhi's making the engage. There's the layered CC. Palafox has no way home. And Gori's taking his first kill of the game.
Yeah, even has the crown, but just cannot move whatsoever. Another aggressive play there. huhi just flashes the wall, finds the angle. Stixxay will be pushed back, but again, it's going to be more plates going down on bot. They still have another minute to farm more plates, so they get another one down on that bot side. We'll be basing and heading out on the map here once more, as they're likely going to be playing towards this next Herald when it does spawn, just trying to continue to accelerate the gold lead.
Man, that gold lead is 4,500 before the plates are down. This is an absolutely massive early game for the Golden Guardians. They're only up a single kill. It's 3-2. They're down the 1 Drake, but 4.5k at this stage of the game is huge. NRG are stuck on the back foot for a while.
Absolutely. They are so far behind. And with this kind of a lead, the biggest problem is we're going to start seeing, that second item completion way before NRG carries do get towards that. So you're going to have this kind of mid game where it's 2 items towards 1. And you can see across the board, every carry is ahead of their counterpart. On the other side, Stixxay, Gori, and Licorice all have more gold. Even River has more gold than his counterpart. Huhi even has more gold, so it's 5 for 5.
Everybody, man.
Everybody's getting involved. There's enough money for everybody. They're making it rain.
And Dhokla down there with Contractz in terms of overall economy value. Just the early advantage, never let up. Licorice always maintaining that extra edge in the lane. We talked a lot about the way that the minion wave state was just doomed entirely. And it's real difficult to be able to get yourself back in there, especially in a meta game where going top and trying to solve top lane's problems is usually just not the win con. Let's see if River face checks the brush here, how bad this one's gonna go. Burst back down into IgNar, but it's River who drops first. FBI taking the kill as Dhokla arrives with a TP, but the fight is already over mostly. FBI and Dhokla falling back here. NRG, good pick, but can they get anything else from it?
Yeah, they can go towards Herald, but the problem is no one's answering Gori now. Nice swoop in.
Palafox going after Licorice. They do overheat him. Licorice has no way out of this one, and Dhokla's gonna bring him down. NRG, 2 back-to-back kills.
They do get 2 back-to-back kills, but they're gonna lose the tier 2 bot, right? So this is kind of why they're playing up there, trying to harass them, try to keep them interested. Obviously, Golden Guardians did not want to die, and it is a good bit of a punishment. But at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of gold here going over towards Gori. And Golden Guardians are just playing the map so intelligently. Now, I even like the fact that Licorice obviously had this kind of dominating 1v1. He could have just stayed in that 1v1. They could have left him there to expand that gold lead. But instead, they swapped Stixxay up towards top where he could get involved, where he could create that gold lead for himself, because that is going to be more important going forward in this game. And they've gotten to a point now where Stixxay is like 1,500 gold ahead of the richest person on NRG, right? Like, he is really far ahead on this Zeri. And Licorice's farm has slowed down. You know, he's died a couple times, but honestly, who cares? He's in a lead already and is going to have value in these 5v5s.
You can always just drop an equalizer to make space for Zeri. When she is this far ahead in the game, your win condition is right there with big blinking yellow electric lights as Golden Guardians are going after the tier 1 turret. Huhi blasted down underneath. The turret aggro is enough to guarantee it, and FBI is getting the paycheck.
Again, another kill. Golden Guardians getting a little bit sloppy. Wanted to push aggressively here to get that last outer turret. They've already taken down 3 turrets at 16 minutes, which is pretty crazy. They're trying to go for that final outer here, but the TP response was there, and Huhi a little bit far up. The hook comes through to try to get him to safety, but it's too little too late. As Golden Guardians, though, relentless here. Palafox getting chunked and should be able to bully this one down, but IgNar's going to pop the ulti.
Ulti coming through from the right. River stuck underneath the turret. Eats a lot of damage from the shots, but it's not enough to bring him down this time. Gori wants to get something back on Contractz or IgNar. Subjugate used there to keep his HP topped off as Contractz gets brought down. It's hammer time. Double kill for Gori to the skies. Brings NRG to their knees.
Yeah, he goes to the skies, sends him right back to the spawn platform. Gori flexing on him, got so much gold on that bot lane split push. Wow, there was all these skirmishes around mid lane, around Herald. He got paid, came back with a fully completed mythic, had the tier 2 boots. Now he's on 2 full items already, as is Stixxay. These carries are going to be so difficult to deal with from this point. And Golden Guardians knows it, so they're just really pushing the pace. They're not allowing NRG to have any time. And this is something that I think Golden Guardians does really well, is they will force you to fight at all times. They will not allow you the kind of peace of mind to sit back and scale and farm up. They will fight you at objectives. They will fight you before objectives to force your cooldowns. They will always challenge you when they feel that they are in the advantage.
It's the opposite of do nothing and scale. It's always click and fight.
Yeah.
They are ready to go at any given time here on Summoner's Rift. 1 Drake to 1 Drake so far. 3 minutes until the next one spawns. Baron is live in 2 minutes. A 5,000 gold lead. If you're Golden Guardians and you're doing this plan like you're talking about, Isaac, where you always want to force fights, with that much of a commanding advantage over your opponent, you just demand they come answer you at Baron soon.
Absolutely. FBI, at the very least, though, did pick up a couple kills, so he does have 2 items. He's still down 1,300 gold to where Stixxay is.
Yeah.
But he has 2 items, so he is becoming more relevant. We can see this one more time, as did get a little bit dicey with the tower onto River, but they're able to finish it off. And then on the side, it's basically just a 1v2 here from Gori. He is going crazy on them. And then the equalizer comes through, tags him just barely. I think that equalizer was expecting that Palafox as well as FBI would have been coming down through that brush, but the shock blast connects on the both, gets them both low, and then flash forward to the skies. It's hammer time, baby.
That was so
and he's just like, oh my God.
You just so rarely get to do that with an ability that has such a small AoE on it.
Kill,
like that was sick, man. NRG using the Herald here in the bottom side of the map. It's 4 turrets to none. NRG really needs to at least pick this up here. It's about all they're gonna get. River's coming around from the side. Palafox goes for the dive, and now they've immediately found a shutdown into Gori. Massive amount of gold coming in from that one, and NRG's bringing the rest of the boys down to try to follow it up. River galloping away through the top part here of this river as he gets away to the rest of his team. NRG, they're only going to get the one, but they get that shutdown on top of the tier 1 turret. They are struggling. They are fighting to claw their way back into this game. Equalizer from Licorice, they're going to zone him away, but not set up any sort of kill, and the Golden Guardians walk back to mid.
Yeah, they do try to find IgNar, who was recalling there. They tried to pick him off, weren't quite able to do it, but neither of these teams are one to back away from a fight. NRG will fight you every step of the way as well. They're not a team to just roll over and die when they get behind. They are going to scrap, they are going to fight, they are going to claw for every little advantage that they can find to try to find a way to win this game. And that's one of the things that I think makes these two teams so much fun to watch. And they have maintained this 4K gold lead, but it is not growing, and they were already at about this mark a few minutes ago. So NRG, slowly kind of like pulling their ways back into this game a little bit. We'll see if they can get anything more.
Yeah, I believe the highest amount that it was so far in this game was around 5.1, 5.2K, around the 17, 18-minute mark. So NRG trying to stop this from bleeding any further, let the game march forward a little bit where it's going to mean less. The Kai'Sa can continue to become that massive thorn in the side of Golden Guardians later on. Because when you look at the Golden Guardians members, there's only one person, and it's River, who can really deal with repeated Void Seeker spam. If anybody else gets constantly poked by these, that is an opportunity for NRG to find themselves a way into a fight they otherwise wouldn't have.
Absolutely, and you can see that some respect is being given over to how much magic damage is on the NRG side. Stixxay already has a Hex Drinker here as that early third item, which is going to be very efficient. Yeah, sure, Trundle does some physical damage, but everyone else is basically magic. And it's going to be difficult to be able to actually burst him down with all the CC, with the counter engage that does exist on this squad. But FBI definitely needs to get towards that third item.
Ooh, there's a shock blast to the FBI's health bar as this Drake has spawned, and it's NRG with control over the bot side River to begin with. But you can see pings from the Golden Guardians going down onto the Baron pit. They're just going to say, all right, it's 1-1 on Drakes. This is not an immediately relevant objective. We're going to start up the Baron instead.
It's warded though. They didn't actually even sweep this out, so it's fully on vision here. So NRG are making their response. Contractz is already up here. IgNar's already up here. Will they commit to this? If they can keep Contractz out, they can just try to secure it. It's going down fast.
Baron's at about 3,000 HP, 2,000 HP. Palafox coming around, but the Baron's already been secured by River and the Golden Guardians. Now he's here on the front line. Palafox goes for the scoop, and River is down. Palafox trying to get away now. IgNar's into the back line, but Gori's found the kill on Palafox. Dhokla's all out. Gori is gone. NRG are killing everybody. Licorice goes over the wall to try to barely escape as huhi has to Spider-Man his way back to safety. It'll be a Baron in exchange for a 3-for-1 trade.
NRG come up huge in that fight. They're able to pile in on top of Stixxay and just train him into the ground here, as it looked like it was going to be a pretty good angle for a fight from Stixxay. They did a good job keeping Contractz out of the pit as long as they possibly could here, but the problem was huhi took so much damage during this, and they're taking a lot of damage over the wall as well from Palafox, who then goes forward, flashes in. It's a double flash reaction there from Gori and Stixxay, but then in comes Dhokla, in comes IgNar, everyone piling in onto the backline. FBI fighting through huhi, fighting through Gori, getting in onto FBI, as well, getting in on Stixxay as well to be able to knock him down. Was very aggressive there, really well played, and now FBI 5 kills here on the Kai'Sa, has the components for his Ludens really close now to that third item, and that is his 1,000th career LCS kill, a massive benchmark.
Massive benchmark and a massive moment in the game to achieve it as well. Not just a random lane kill, but that was huge. If Golden Guardians take that Baron and don't suffer big losses coming out of it, they're at an insane spot to just go ahead and steamroll the rest of this game. But you can see in the top left, power play is currently at a -1. It starts out at plus 1,500. So NRG did a really good job of stopping that from actually benefiting their opponents. As long as they don't let the couple surviving Baron buffs translate into some big turret takes in the remainder of the timer here, about 1 minute and 10 seconds, they're feeling really good.
Absolutely, and I think Golden Guardians did such a good job of pushing the pace early in the game, but now the gold lead is meaning so much less. The carries are getting pretty strong on the other side, and NRG has some really strong late game. You know, Maokai support is going to make things difficult with the ulti, with the peel. Contractz is going to be just ulting River in every single fight. He's going to be getting shredded. You have Azir Kai'Sa. So it's going to be tough potentially for Golden Guardians in some of these 5v5s, especially when you consider the possibility of an Ocean Soul, as it's been back-to-back dragons here for NRG. They are the tankier team, and if they're able to get towards that Ocean Soul, I think it's going to be lights out for Golden Guardians. So they're going to have to find a way to problem solve for this, either play through sides, find some better skirmishes, or start taking some of these neutrals pretty quick.
The man that I got my eyes on here in this one is Palafox. I think he's had a lot of really good ultis on the Azir so far to find some picks, as well as have good impact in the larger fights. And if he can keep farming up, if we can get this Azir to that raid boss status where he's got 4 or 5 items, NRG's gonna be feeling great about it, as the Maokai ulti fired out by IgNar there, just trying to slow down Golden Guardians a bit, but it will not stop them from taking the tier 2 turret. The Baron expires right as the rubble falls, so that's the last thing Golden Guardians is going to get out of this Baron. But even with the purple fading from all around them, man, it's still plus 3.5 thousand gold. That is less than what it was before they took the objective.
Yep, the power play, if I saw it right, was about -174 at the end of the day. Palafox obviously went top lane with Dhokla. Yeah, sure, they got the tier 2 mid, but they gave up the tier 1 top as well for that. They took away some jungle camps. They obviously had the team fight win. So NRG really, you know, pulling themselves back from what was looking like a really one-sided game and making it very, very competitive. There is still a significant advantage here in the gold for Golden Guardians, but it's really down to execution at this point. This is not going to be just an absolute wallet diff game. You're looking at the carries. They're pretty much even keel right now. It's 2.5 items for Palafox. Gori is, of course, closer to his 3rd item, but the ADCs are both on the exact same points right now as well. And it is much more defensive itemization for Stixxay.
And top lane's all caught up. Dhokla now has the same farm as Licorice. He's got 2 fully completed items, the second of which is the "Don't Kill Me, Bro" button. So he knows that when he goes into these fights, he can have an impact. He can stay alive long enough to do something meaningful in there. He's no longer stuck in this jail of being underneath the tier 1 turret, just hoping Licorice unfreezes the wave.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Licorice obviously swapped out of that pretty quick. They had this massive top lane advantage, but they elected to just move their bot lane up towards top, farm plates, get Stixxay into a good spot. That worked out, so I can't say, you know, they really did anything wrong, you know, with that decision. But at the end of the day, it has not really paid dividends. Licorice got kind of sacrificed a little bit from that, then got picked off a couple times, and they have been losing these major skirmishes. Another tower going down to the Azir split push here. Who's going to be at a really strong point. They will be giving up a dragon for this, but they're still pushing. Someone has got to come help Licorice here.
Yeah, Licorice is having a very difficult time dealing with this Azir, who just ripped half the HP off of the tier 3 turret. And it's not just those larger skirmishes that I think are being the thorn in the side of the Golden Guardians. So many different times we saw random pick here, random pick there, random pick over here. And it's just amounting to, after a while, enough time where you're not making the play you would otherwise want to be making because you're down in manpower across the map. You can't have the macro that you want. Huhi trying to stop Palafox's back. He'll use the shifting sands to get some distance away from the enemy support. You could see, because we have perfect vision, we know the rest of the team was coming up behind him. Palafox had a similar idea, so gets himself out of town there, but is tied up now 2-2 in the Drakes. Baron back on the map in just about 20 seconds. 2,500 gold lead for the Golden Guardians. The number keeps getting smaller.
It absolutely does, but at the very least, they kill some of the tempo here from the Azir with that delay on his base, so they can move in, try to take a bit of vision here around that Baron, get the push through mid. We'll see what the game plan is for them here now. I mean, really all you can do is play towards Baron side, get Gori pushing out top, use your 4-man squad here to bounce between mid and that Baron area and just try to maintain control of that vision. Because there's no dragon for another 4 minutes here, so it's really only Baron on the map to play for.
Void Staff, 3rd completed item for Palafox, now done here too. You know you're up against a Sejuani. You know that the enemy Zeri already has a Maul of Malmortius completed, so I like this pickup, just prioritizing being able to punch through some of that MR and guarantee that when he goes in, the damage is there.
It's also going to be double Maw. Gori already has the pieces for his, so it's going to be double Maw. There's Merc Treads, of course, up on Licorice. There's MR on the Sejuani. There's Merc Treads down on Huhi. So everyone is going to have a decent amount of magic resist to really make that valuable here. So Palafox has put himself in a pretty good position. The experience leads have completely gone away. NRG, I don't think are really at much of a deficit whatsoever anymore here. And it's going to be Golden Guardians that have to problem solve their way out of this, because I don't think they can really win front to back. I think River's almost always going to go down first when he gets Trundle ulted. So you have to be able to find poke like this. You have to be able to really put yourselves in a good position before the fight breaks out in earnest.
And I mean, that's why this is the classic counter pick. Contractz is a little bit low here, but now he's fine. Huhi coming around from the side, drops the depth charge. IgNar bursts it down to about half as FBI barely gets away the killer instinct, but he won't survive. Stixxay's popping off. Needs a little bit more damage to find it as Dhokla fights in a 1v2, finds the Q3 to knock them both up into the air, but he's still gonna fall. A double kill back over to Stixxay, and the Golden Guardians finally find themselves a fight. It's a 4-for-1.
That fight was huge for Golden Guardians, and they're just gonna push down mid here, go straight for the inhibitor. Can they potentially look to end the game? They might just be able to do it. There's 24 seconds on FBI, and he's the first one to be able to come back up. They're gonna go for the end, I think.
The scary Zeri carry, man. No matter how far removed it is from the meta, when you have a player who can pilot it, you can never disrespect it. Golden Guardians, they're going for the end. River takes one more turret shot. It's about all he can do. Licorice popping the stasis. Stixxay's too low. Golden Guardians have stuck around too long. It's time to leave.
Palafox has TP, so they can actually go for a TP flank here, and Dhokla has TP when he gets up. They can go for a double TP, try to kill them, and then take Baron.
Palafox coming over the wall. Shifting sands ready to go. Sundis summoned up just to make sure they can't try to turn it around.
Dhoklas
right back onto him. Dhokla ready to TP in and join up with these guys. Huhi goes for the dredge line, finds Palafox, but it ain't gonna matter too much. Dhokla coming in, looks to lock down Huhi, burst him out. There you go. Gori with a nice accelerated shock blast over the wall, but it ain't gonna slow anybody down. FBI has his sights set on the enemy top laner, and he finds him. Now Gori's gonna try to escape. Contractz and FBI are having none of it, and the Golden Guardians overplay their hand and find it smashed under the hammer of NRG.
They thought they had the game. It was a really close call there on the push, but they only had a couple minions, so they had to actually tank up the towers for the minions. They could not end the game, and now what could have been a guaranteed Baron and a massive advantage turns into this turnaround here. But this fight was beautiful here as they collapse from multiple sides. Huhi comes in, look at this ult through multiple members, knocks up both the carries, then Gori flashes into the back line onto FBI. The equalizer across multiple members. There's no threat onto Stixxay either. Golden Guardians played up this 5v5 about as well as it's possible to, and they thought, that's it, that's game one. They made the risky call to go for the Nexus instead of taking the guaranteed Baron, and it comes back to bite them in the butt as the double TPs off the respawn mean there's just no way that Golden Guardians can really get out safely. Hui's the first to fall, we're back to live.
River has to Arctic Assault over the wall to escape the pillar, as FBI has Contractz and Dhokla right next to him. The Kai'Sa 8-1 in this game. The previous team fight before that base push from the Golden Guardians, the first time he even died in this one. Drake about to spawn. It's the 5th Drake of the game, 2-2 so far. Golden Guardians know that NRG have this Baron buff. They have priority over the River. It looks like they're still going to think about contesting it.
Yeah, they are. And you have to remember, there are supers coming through mid, so it's just going to be a rush down here. NRG do get it, and now Golden Guardians have to back off because they are pretty spread out. Licorice does have an angle here, but if they get hard engaged on Stixxay, he's going to be too late.
Dhokla's here on the front line, popping the gargoyle stone plate immediately as Huhi's dragged back into the Sun Disc, and FBI goes on a killing spree. Stixxay's here on the front line, guns one down, but he won't be able to get himself back away. IgNar controlling Gori, keeping him out. Palafox slides forward with the conquering sands and conquers the Golden Guardians. A double kill back over to the NRG AD carry, and NRG absolutely slammed the fight. It's an ace with the long-range Void Seeker.
The Void Seeker procs the passive, and he's going to be able to knock him down, and now they're going to try to end here, and I think this time for sure it is over. You have the Baron to push in here, and NRG have stolen game one away from Golden Guardians.
An awesome final fight. They find their engage, they find their moment. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Huhi's back up. Is it gonna go south? I don't think so. NRG making paper out of these Nexus turrets, making fools out of the Golden Guardians, and making a good start to this series. They're up 1-0.
Wow, the slimmest of margins there. Keep NRG alive as Golden Guardians went for the end, couldn't get it, and NRG punishes them the maximum amount here. Kills them, takes the Baron, wins a fight around mid lane here that Golden Guardians tried to force, and is able to end the game right off of that. I wonder, if Licorice hadn't died to that final Void Seeker, if they could have potentially delayed enough, maybe stayed alive to get some respawns or something, but That was a crazy turnaround from NRG. They've got to be feeling themselves after how badly that early game went. Everything went Golden Guardians' way in the early stages. You know, we were sitting at a point earlier on in the game where we thought this was pretty much toast. I did not like the angle on this fight, though, for Golden Guardians. Look at where Licorice and Gori are. You know, they're way down here at the bottom of the fight, you know, barely even involved, as everyone is piling in on Stixxay up at the top of your screen here. He's just getting ran down. And it was Gori and Licorice who were getting zoned out by IgNar's ulti. They were trying to play further back. It was a good equalizer from Licorice when he does join, but by the time the two soul laners have really joined the fight in earnest, it was already decided. It was already over. They didn't have a good angle there, and Golden Guardians just didn't have the proper setup off of that dragon take. You know, they're the ones that had knocked down that mid lane inhibitor, but NRG just rushed down the dragon, and I think Golden Guardians were a little bit unsure how to play out the situation from there, because I don't think they wanted to cede full mid lane control against this Baron buff team. As a result, they ended up in a fight. NRG was always down to take, and they just didn't really have the positioning for it.
It was a high-octane game number one. A reminder, Viva la LCS! LCS in Espanol is the official Spanish language stream of the LCS. The new viewing experience is live on LLA's Twitch and YouTube channels right now. You can scan the QR code or go to lolesports.com to learn more. But for now, we're going to toss to a break. Game number 2 is coming right up. Don't go anywhere.
Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull gives you wings.
Master